Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this opportunity, I would like to thank you for having this opportunity in this group 10. We have four member, which is my name is Irham, and then my colleagues Farhan Mile, Farghali, and Putra. In this opportunity, we like to present the adaptation of foreign professionals in Malaysia, navigating challenge and building a supportive ecosystem. Introduction, the mobility of talented workers across internal borders has grown to be a crucial component of the global economies. Is in increasingly independent world, expatriates or those who temporarily live outside of their home country for job or other reasons contribute to the exchange different viewpoints and idea as live culture has emerged as a described location for expertise looking for a career possibilities and a high standard living. However, expatriates frequently face a number of difficulties throughout their time in a foreign nation, difficult that may have an effect on their general well-being, their capacity for work, and their ability to legal complication and social assimilation. The Malaysian government put in a place measure intent to address the issue and create a atmosphere that is favorable and expect thrive, recognizing the importance of experience in promoting development culture variety. The fourth one is language barrier. A language barrier is a particular form of communication challenge that may arise at work, especially if employees speak another language than official language. Uh, Quoted by Daud et al. And in this case study, example by West 2010, is that none of the employee at Isan Construction SDN BHD spoke in English and Malay. Their supervisor was required to translate any instruction given on construction project. However, supposed to scaffolding of the premises as it was in a partially dismantled state and resistant of injury of the workers because of the language barrier between the uh, workers and the supervisor that a conflict could be occurs. And from because there's a government intervention or a government solution if the National Language Act 1967 Article 152 of the Constitution said that Malay language is an official language that cannot be changed, and right now it's being supported by the Expatriates Service Division, which issue the professional visit pass for a worker. So workers need to be trained at least like 12 months from the company. It does include like language skills and other things that to be need to be adapted into Malaysia. And next is the suggestions. And we encourage the exchange program, like the Malaysian government should promote cultural exchange program that facilitate interculture between foreign professionals and the local community. Is supported by the APS and also provide language training. The government should offer like more language training program to the foreign professional to enhance their communication skill facility, and is already being developed by the language division of Institute of Diplomacy and Foreign Relations. Next will be explained by my colleague. Go ahead.
Oke, next kita masuk ke bagian housing and cost living. Finding the suitable home in Malaysia that if it's there needs budget in consider difficult for experience. The high cost living can affect level of certifying of foreign worker in Malaysia and solution and focus on controlling the cost of living are important. Housing and living challenge for experience seeking employee in Malaysia face significant difficult related to housing and cost living. Uh, and the next issue is limited access to affordable housing. A major obstacle for foreign worker is lack of affordable housing option. In the increased demand for housing among expatriate has led to higher rental property value, making suitable housing harder to find. And last, comprehensive affordable housing policy. Especially housing policy, the unique of expatriate worker, comprehensive affordable housing policy must consider factors such as location, special need to expatriate, and affordable. Next, government intervention. For government intervention, the Malaysia government special housing policy targeting foreign worker can help ensure access affordable housing that meet their needs. In Malaysia Law Policy Act 1990, Akta Standar Minimum Perumahan dan Kemudahan Pekerja 1990 must take account housing standard quality and affordability. Jadi dengan peraturan ini diharapkan pemerintah dapat mempermudah pekerja asing untuk mendapatkan kediaman atau perumahan yang layak dan nyaman. Next, untuk government intervention selanjutnya yaitu National Housing Policy atau NHP program, which has been in 2018 sampai 2015. Ini mirip dengan development management housing untuk suitable, affordable, and affordable habit for people. Kita next ke bagian program selanjutnya. Nah, untuk program selanjutnya, the Malaysia government is taking steps to address housing challenge, support affordable housing project, and provide in return developer offering reasonably priced accommodation. Like Malaysia My Second Home or MM2H program, then long-term resident and property ownership right to foreign to achieve affordable housing goals. There are specially programs for MM2H, for foreign worker based in income level. Nah, dengan program Malaysia My Second Home, foreign worker dapat membeli rumah dengan harga yang cukup terjangkau. Yang sebelumnya disyaratkan minimal 1 juta rupiah untuk memiliki kediaman di Malaysia, sekarang bisa mendapatkan dengan harga yang terjangkau. Contohnya kayak di Selangor dengan harga 2 juta rupiah, di zone 1-2 menjadi RM 1 juta rupiah. Lalu di Terengganu masih tetap dengan program MM2H, Johor dan Pahang, Kuala Lumpur masih tetap, namun di negeri 9, di negeri Perlis, Sabah, Kelantan, dan Malaka itu menjadi 50% yang seharusnya pekerja asing membeli minimal 1 juta rupiah menjadi 1 juta ringgit menjadi 500.000 ringgit. Nah, selanjutnya government melakukan collaboration with private sector untuk merealisasikan program MM2H. Karena dengan ini pemerintah Malaysia akan mendapatkan partner private sector untuk pembangunan dan pengembangan dari properti tersebut. Next, Irham. Nah, untuk suggestion-nya, pemerintah ini dapat memberikan pinjaman. Nah, ini berupa pembiayaan skema pembiayaan rumah pekerja. Ini contohnya. Dan ini bagaimana permohonannya, jenis dan harta jumlah pembiayaannya dengan pembiayaan maksimum yaitu sebesar 150.000 ringgit Malaysia. Lalu dengan nilai dan ini adalah dokumen apa saja yang perlu diperlukan, lalu dokumen tambahan dan jadwal bayaran untuk bulanannya atau jatuh tempo. Dan itulah saran bagi untuk suggestion untuk dari housing and cost living. Okay, next.
Really?
Sorry, sebelumnya Irham. Nah, dan ini adalah peta untuk perkembangan peminjaman atau distribusi foreign increase to foreign worker in Malaysia. Oke, next Irham. Selanjutnya akan dibacakan oleh teman saya Farhan Mile.
Okay, next is wage. From ILO instrument define the term minimum wage is payable minimum sum payable to a worker for work performed or service rendered within given period, whether calculated on the basis of time or output, which may not be reduced either by individual or collective agreement. Which is guaranteed by law and which may be fixed in such a way as to cover the minimum needs of the worker and his or her family in the like national economic and social condition. Next. Next is case study. In the case study happened to labor in Sabah. Employ the higher number for in Sabah, specialty in palm oil field, about which about 1.07 million hectare and compared to 2.5 million population. Nah, forecast for professional workers, there are still very few case study. According Fauzia Abu Hassam 2021 in Malaysia, there are limited study on the minimum wage effect on the employee of foreign workers in manufacturing sector. This can happen because there is possibility that professional workers get information about Malaysian law and have qualified skills. This can happen because there are possibility. Oh, sorry, next. This journal about case study. Next. Next, solution of government intervention. So government intervention in Act 732 is to overcome the difference in wage. The Malaysia government has taken steps to overcome it, namely by making a law on minimum wage and being determined by a wage negotiation act, namely Act 732. Next. Solution. Solution is next is minimum wage determination. in determination minimum wage for labor in Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia, is 2,000 2,200 ringgit in each Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia, sorry, and in each Malaysia is 1,100 ringgit, and for professional worker is in 1,500 ringgit, and to stipulation in protect by the 2011 State Wage Negotiation Council in Act 732, and workers who are eligible for a minimum salary have been declared and protected by Employer Act 1955, Act 265, Sabah Labor Ordinance Chapter 67, and Sarawak Labor Ordinance Chapter 17.6. And this explains that all legal groups of workers are entitled to receive the minimum wage, both professional workers, laborers, and part-time workers. Next. This table for minimum wage in Malaysia 2022. Okay, next. Next. Suggestion. So work before Irham. So workers must have knowledge of Malaysia law to strike arguments with employer. For wage negotiation must build good relation so that negotiation can run smoothly. Therefore, the Malaysia royal government must enforce the law that have been effect so that Malaysia, especially employers, comply, and there is no difference in wage between foreign workers and local workers. And in the end, the quality of life workers can improve and be more prosperous. Next. So, for Malaysia government has made complete which can be made online to the labor department. So this program can kumpul komplain tentang pekerja yang tidak menerima upah sesuai dengan peraturan yang ada. Dan caranya itu adalah membuat surat seperti pada contoh yang dikirim melalui via email atau menghubungi call center, lalu kirim surat tersebut ke Jabatan Tenaga Kerja dan kunjungi Departemen Jabatan Tenaga Kerja terdekat. Next. Selanjutnya akan dijelaskan oleh Putra.
All right, thank you, Mile. So for the last point, I'll be explaining, and before that, I'll introduce myself. My name is Putra Shazrin. So for the last point will be discrimination of expatriates in Malaysia. So first of all, a common definition of discrimination is the unequal treatment of people based on traits or group membership that are unrelated to productivity or merit. Rospenda defined workplace discrimination as behaviors of organizations and or people within them that systematically limit the capacity of members of a group to work by imposing unfair terms and conditions. And it is frequently driven by perceptions of an outgroup's inferiority to the dominant group. Irham, next slide. All right. So for the case study, it involves one expatriate faced by a lecturer in an unnamed local public university. This is based on an article by Richardson and Wong in 2018. So as a foreign lecturer working in a local university, the lecturer faced pressure as the university do not offer permanent jobs to expatriates, regardless of her contributions. The lecturer even compares her workplace to other local private universities and other international universities in other countries that made greater efforts to retain her in the workplace. She even mentions that despite her efforts to produce research papers, her efforts did not give her an edge. Her efforts did not give her an edge over local employees or lecturers that got better treatment. Next. All right. So for current government intervention or solution, so Malaysian government have addressed the issues and came up with a law in the Employment Act 1955 or the Malaysian National Law, Act 265. And the law states that in 60L, subsection 1, the Director General may inquire into any complaint from a local employee that he or she is being discriminated against in relation to a foreign employee, or from a foreign employee that he or she is being discriminated against in relation to a local employee by his employer in respect of the terms and conditions of his or her employment. And the Director General may issue to the employer such directives as may be necessary or expedient to solve the matter. And in subsection 2, the law states that any employer who fails to comply with any directive of the Director General issued under subsection 1 commits an offense. Next. All right. So for the suggestion, firstly, the government should proactively monitor organizations with higher expatriates by increasing the rate of inspections toward these companies. Surveys and one-to-one conversations with the expatriates should be conducted more often to ensure their satisfaction at their job post. This should effectively increase the government's intervention in curbing discrimination of expatriates in Malaysia, because based on the website of website and writings, journals of international labor organizations, it states that in Malaysia, the government has already implemented these inspections towards organizations. However, there has been no reports that the inspections has even been occurred, or they have been conducted in minimal efforts. Next. All right, for the second one, organizations in Malaysia, including private and government, should support a multicultural workforce through practices and policies. As a result, there should be a rise in the acceptance of foreigners and expatriates and a more welcoming workplace. Encourage honest conversation between foreigners and locals to dispel misconceptions and prejudice. Organizations, public and private, should also create channels for discussion that enable the exchange of viewpoints and cooperation between the two diverse groups, meaning local and expatriate. This is a suggestion that is also backed up by a website, an article by Arrival Expats, which mentions that organizations should involve and include both local and foreign workers or expatriates to ensure that the foreigners and locals can be inclusive and work in synergy in the workplace. So next. All right, so I'll sum up this presentation. So we can see that expatriates in Malaysia particularly face quite some issues, some more significant than others. And although the Malaysian government has made significant attempts to alleviate these difficulties experienced by foreigners living here, there's always room for improvement. So Malaysia may establish a setting that not only draws foreigners, but also makes it easier for them to integrate into into the hospitality of Malaysian culture. This can be achieved by enhancing cultural integration programs, boosting housing options, expediting employment procedures, and providing them to other social services. So that is all from us. Thank you very much. That's all.